Welcome to Maximize Life, the television broadcast from New Wine Church, London. Jesus said, I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. Our mandate is to challenge you to be all you can be. So get ready to be encouraged, enriched, and empowered. You will never be the same again.
Have you ever found yourself thinking, I need more time? Have you ever found yourself thinking that? I need more time. Well, newsflash, you're not going to get it. No one gets more time. There are 24 hours in the day. That's all you get. 1,440 minutes. Everybody gets the same. Time is the great equalizer. The Queen doesn't get 25 hours. The President of America doesn't get 25 hours. The school janitor doesn't get 23 hours. Everybody gets 24. So how come some achieve more in those 24 hours than others? How come some use the same amount of time to advance themselves better than others? Because of the value of what they put in those hours. You know, I want you to look at your day like this. When the clock strikes midnight, imagine God gives you 24 empty boxes. And he says to you, you're free to put anything you like in those boxes. Each box is 1 hour. And you can pour junk in each of those boxes. When you come to 12 midnight of the next day, you have 24 boxes of junk. Or you can pour treasure into those 24 boxes. At 12 midnight the next day, you have 24 boxes of treasure. And what you put into your hour from day to day is what will eventually determine the quality and the value of your life. Are you getting it, ladies and gentlemen? What determines the value of our lives is the value of what we put into our time. Because you cannot change time, you must learn to change what you put in it. If you want to change your life, hear me, if you want to change your life, you need to change your priorities. If this year is going to be different from last year, then your priorities this year must be different from your priorities last year. Remember, we cannot put new wine into old wineskins. We're going to bust the wineskin and we're going to spill the wine. Tell your neighbor, establish your priorities. And this is the big deal, people. This is the scary part of it. If you don't establish your priorities, someone else will. It's as simple as that. That's why you must never start your day in neutral. Never start your day wondering what you're going to do today. Because very quickly somebody will find you something to do. If you don't pour valuable things in those 24 boxes, people will dump their rubbish in those 24 boxes. If you don't decide how your day will be spent, someone else will. Have you noticed that people who have nothing to do want to do it with you? If you've never noticed, just wait till tomorrow morning. When you get to work tomorrow morning, within 20 minutes of getting to work, somebody's going to wander to your desk and want to spend the next 30 minutes with you talking about nothing. When people like that come around you, you have no obligation to be polite. Tell them, you know what? I know you're not going anywhere. I am going somewhere this year. I've got stuff to do. I got to go. Are you hearing me today? So what are the benefits of establishing your priorities? Let me give you 5 quickly. There are more than 5, but let me give you these 5 very quickly. Number 1, priorities help you to separate what is most important from what is least important. If everything is important to you, something is very wrong. Priorities help you to separate what is most important from what is least important. Number 2, priorities liberate you from the tyranny of the urgent. How many of you know that urgent things are like tyrants? They're like dictators. They took over your life and they try to control you. It's like a ringing phone. Thank God for voicemail nowadays. But remember the days when there was no voicemail? And your phone just rang and rang and rang and rang and rang. And with every ring it's saying, pick me up, pick me up, pick me up now, pick me up now. I'm the most important thing now, pick me up now. That's the way an urgent thing is. It's screaming for your attention. But ladies and gentlemen, just because something is urgent doesn't mean it is important. And if, I hesitate to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you always have urgent things in your life, it means there is no order in your life. Because it wasn't always urgent. But we'll leave that till another day. So the simple question is, what is the worst thing that will happen if I don't attend to this urgent thing? And that helps you to decide how important it is. Number 3, priorities release you from the guilt of not doing everything. Trust me, by deciding not to do everything, you will offend some people. You won't be able to attend everybody's party. You won't be able to go out with everyone who wants to go out with you. You will offend some people. But ladies and gentlemen, it's okay to offend some people, as long as you don't offend everybody. Some people, I can live with that. But be honest with me, who's been there before? Where you had 8 things to do and you knew you couldn't do 8 things. You managed to do 3 and you felt guilty about the other 5. Have you been there before? Summertime, you had 4 invitations on the same Saturday. You couldn't get to all 4 and you felt guilty. Priorities release you from that guilt. Number 4, priorities help you to eliminate distractions. Ladies and gentlemen, distractions are the most prolific destroyer of focus. Distractions break your focus. Distractions weaken your resolve to accomplish things. That's why we call them distractions. It's a combination of 2 words, the word dis, which means away from, and the word traction, which means to pull. A distraction is that which pulls you away from your focus, pulls you away from your purpose. When I was in medical school, my psychology professor said, if you have 2 conflicting duties, one of them is not your duty. If you have 2 conflicting duties, one of them is not your duty. And we, the students, added, it is your pleasure. Number 5, priorities help you obtain the highest return on the investment of your time. Priorities tell you, listen, if I put 3 hours into this endeavor, what yield will it give me? If I put 3 hours into that endeavor, what yield will it give me? And very quickly you can decide where to spend your time. People, anytime you find people fulfilling their dreams, every time you see people attain the highest level in their career or profession, you can be sure that priorities have been very important to them. And I want to challenge you in this year to make priorities a matter of priority. Tell your neighbor, establish your priorities. Don't run around through this year just doing everything, trying to accommodate every situation. Establish priorities. Let some things go. Be focused. Jesus was a man of priorities. He didn't accept every invitation. He didn't accept every offer. They tried to make him king. He said, my kingdom is not of this world. Was it a good thing to become king? Yes. But in comparison to his mission, it was not a good thing. It was something of lesser value. Wise people always trade things of lesser value for things of greater value. Somebody came and said, help me. Jesus said, I was not sent to anyone but the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He was focused. There was a time he passed through Samaria, and the Bible says he set his face like a flint to go to Jerusalem. The people of Samaria didn't like him for it. They said he's not paying attention to us. It's called priorities. We must be people of priorities. Tell your neighbor, establish your priorities. You have to have a number 1 on your agenda for this year. You have to have a number 2. And there must be a number 25. There are people who should ride in the front, and there are people who should ride at the back of the bus in your life this year. It's called priorities. Today, let me give you a 5-step strategy for establishing your priorities. How many steps? 5 steps. Are you ready? I said, are you ready? Step 1, articulate the goal. Articulate the goal. Ask yourself, what is my goal? Or what are my goals? For this year, what are my goals? But don't just have the goals for the year. Break it down. For this week, what are my goals? For today, what are my goals? And so, out of articulating your goals, you need to have 3 lists you work from. How many lists? 3 lists. List number 1, write down the 5 most important things you want to achieve this year. I hope everyone in this room already has that list. But if you don't have it yet, we're about to hit the middle of the first month of the year. Go and get that list. 5. Pastor Ty, why can't I write 20 things? Trust me, you don't even have capacity to concentrate on 20 things. Start with 5. 5, and that's why I use the expression, the most important. So if you want another list that has 20 things, that's okay, but extract the 5 most important from that list. The 5 most important things you want to achieve this year. Well, but Pastor Tayo, what if as I go on in the year, I change my mind? That's okay. That list is not going to be engraved in marble in Trafalgar Square. It's your list. You can change it. You are the author and the finisher of the list. You can change it when you like. But get a list. Start with something. If you don't have this first list, you have given your year permission to unfold in a random fashion. A list of the 5 most important things you want to achieve. Number 2, write down the 5 most important things you need to achieve this week. 5 most important things you need to achieve this week. Again, there may be more than 5, but focus on the most important 5. Number 3, write down the 5 most important things you want to achieve today. Somebody say, articulate the goal. Step 2, answer the questions. Answer the questions. There are certain questions you must ask yourself, and the answers to those questions will determine what should be on your list and what should not be on your list. Will help you determine, in fact, what should be number 1 on your list and what should be number 5 on your list. There are 4 questions you need to ask yourself. 4 of them are defined by 4 R's. Let me give you the R's before I give you the questions. Say rich, required, returns, reward. Rich is R-E-A-C-H. Question number 1, where do I want to reach? This is the goal question. This is the destination question. Where do I want to reach this year? Where do I want to reach this week? Where do I want to reach today? There's that slogan that says, where do you want to go today? Question number 2, what is required of me? This is the duty question. What is required of me this week? What is required of me this year? What is required of me today? Because you see, sometimes you can decide where you want to go, but your duty compels you to pay attention to other things. Maybe one of your goals for this year is to have fun, to relax more, to play golf more. But then there's something called a job, and there's something called a family to feed. So you have a duty to your employer to show up at work at 9 and not be on the golf course. Yesterday morning we were going to the leaders' breakfast, and we passed by a golf course. In the cold with frost on the grass, they were playing golf. You would think I hate golf. I don't hate golf. I have a set of golf clubs. What is required of me? What is required of me as a spouse, as a parent, as an employee, as a team member, as a team leader? Remember, if you have 2 conflicting duties, One of them is not your duty. Question number 3, what will give me the greatest returns? This is the efficiency question. Very quickly you will find out that some activities give you a greater return on your time and energy. Some activities give you a lesser return on your time and energy. So you know how to focus on the things that give you a greater return. And this is one of the ways to also determine your strengths. If you spend 1 hour doing something and you get a particular result, you spend 10 hours doing another thing and you get the same result. Something tells you what you spend 10 hours doing is not your strength. Question number 4, what will give me the greatest reward? This is the fulfillment question. What do I do that gives me the greatest satisfaction? And maybe even financial rewards. Say, articulate the goal. Answer the questions. Step number 3, assign the numbers. Assign the numbers. Now take a look at your list of 5 things and give a number to each item in order of priority. Because you may have written them down not in order of priority. So you decide what should be number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Which one comes first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Assign the numbers. You're going to be able to do that because of the answers you come up with to your 4 questions, the 4 R's. Okay? Say, articulate the goal. Ask the questions, assign the numbers. Step number 4, allocate the time. Allocate the time. For example, for my list of things I want to achieve this year, if I'm serious about achieving those things, I need to give time to those things. So if I want to lose weight this year, how many hours a week should I allocate to exercising? If I want to learn Spanish this year, how many hours a week should I allocate to learning Spanish? If I really want to marry that girl this year, how many hours a week should I spend paying attention to that girl? That got some of your attention. Yeah. But this is not just for your yearly list, your weekly list too, your daily list. When you put down a to-do list, how many people here use to-do lists? Let me see your hand. To-do list. Let me tell you something. A lot of us use to-do lists and we don't use it effectively. Let me tell you how you can make your to-do list effective. Allocate an amount of time. So if you say to yourself, Pastor Tayo said, I must sort out my wardrobe. I'm sorting out my wardrobe this week. That's one of my 5 things. How many hours will it take you to sort out my wardrobe? 3 hours. Write 3 hours. But that's the first step to allocating time. Now, the second thing you do is allocate a specific time. 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on Monday. 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday. That's my 3 hours. And please be realistic. All right? Because we always think we can do it in less time. But is this making sense to someone? Say, articulate the goal, ask the questions, assign the numbers, allocate the time. Step 5, advance the process. Take the first item on your list and spring into action. Go to work on it. And stay with that item until it is done. Then go to the second item, then the third, then the fourth, then the fifth. Pastor Tayo, what if I take the first item on my list for the day and I spend the entire day doing the first thing? That's okay. Take the remaining 4 items and transfer them to tomorrow. Item 2 today becomes item 1 tomorrow. Is this making sense? But then, Pastor Tayo, life is not the way you've just described it. Things don't happen this neatly. There are interruptions. There are unforeseen circumstances. Things show up that we were not expecting, eventualities. That's okay. Yes, I know life is not that straightforward. But you know what? With all the interruptions and unforeseen circumstances and eventualities, they were going to come anyway. With all of those things, you will still achieve more if you established your priorities than you will do if you did not establish your priorities. As we go into this year, remember, God has prepared tremendous opportunities for us. If you want to increase your focus this year, if you want to increase your productivity, if you want to become more effective in what you do, if you truly want to have a prosperous year, then you need to establish your priorities. Let me close with this story. Luciano Pavarotti. How many of you remember Pavarotti? The great tenor. Pavarotti was training to be a teacher. But then from a very young age, his father had realized that he had a gift of singing, and his father had enrolled him under the tutelage of one of the best opera teachers in Italy. When he graduated from teacher college, he now had a dilemma. Should I teach or should I sing? I teach very well and I sing very well. So he went to his father and said, what should I do? And his father said, Luciano, you have got 2 chairs you could sit on. Don't try to sit on both of them. In your career, as in life, you must choose one chair. If you try to sit on both of them, you will fall through the 2 of them. And you know, that's our choices. When we establish priorities, we say this chair is good and this chair is also good. But which one must I be sitting on? For the last time today, tell somebody for me, establish your priorities. Let us pray. I want you to talk to God today. We all need the grace of God. It is God who works in us, both to will and to do of his good pleasure. Ask the Lord to help you. As you've heard this message, again, please don't dismiss it. Don't say, oh, this is too simple. It doesn't pertain to me. Just say, Lord, show me areas where I need to establish priorities. I've been running here, there, and everywhere trying to do everything. Give me the wisdom, Lord, to decide what is most important. Give me the wisdom to decide what is least important. Precious Holy Spirit, I ask you today to just move across this audience, up and down every aisle, in and out every row, from person to person, from seat to seat. Just stir the hearts of your people, Lord. You who understand all situations, touch your people in their circumstances. And I pray that you will release the grace, you will release the wisdom that we need, oh God, to establish priorities in our lives, to bring order into the use of our time. Show us what is most important. Show us what is least important. Give us the strength to walk away from things that we are tempted to address, even though they're not important. Give us wisdom, oh God. Lord, as we endeavor to establish priorities, we thank you for increasing our productivity, increasing our focus, increasing our effectiveness, and releasing us into a prosperous year.